Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Just the IDs. Our UK department had been running daily stand-up meetings at the start of each day. We had focused the purpose of the meeting on catching bottlenecks and other issues before they happened and cutting out most of the fluff. They rarely lasted more than 5 minutes and actually resolved issues fast. When we were bought out by a company across the pond in the USA, they wanted to have a manager sit in and listen. At first. Soon enough, our boss came up to us and said that we needed to have more detail on what we were doing every day in the meetings, as they were not comprehensive enough. We asked why and were stonewalled. Later that day, we all received an email from the manager. It listed exactly how we were meant to run the stand-up, including: say the task ID you've been working on, then say how long you were on it and when you expect to finish. Repeat this for each task you have been doing. We raised that this went against the spirit of the meeting. We also raised the fact that the task ID is not the name of the task and that the US team did not have access to our task board. This was also ignored. The next day rolls around and our entire team are waiting for what was to come. I started with my daily tasks. Yeah, so yesterday I started on UX 3854. I did this for half an hour. That task was completed. I then moved on to UX 3855. I worked on it for 2 hours. I completed that. I took half an hour each on UX 3856, 7 and 9. The reason I did not do UX 3858 was that it was blocked by DT4938 and DT3837. Finally, I started UX 3860. I'm still on that today and expect to be finished by midday, after which I will start on UX 3861. I might need some help on UX 3861. Tim, can you talk to me about that after the meeting? Everyone caught on. We did not mention any detail about what we were doing, only the task IDs. After 3 days, the US manager got the point and we returned to our previous method. The next story is called I'll Do It. This happened when I was 19 or so. I worked at this tourist camp as a bartender, and they would send me to work at different bars as help. Well, there was this one bar I've never been to before, and the manager was just something special. I worked at different places before that and I knew most of the stuff. But whatever I wanted to do, make coffee, give any type of drink to customers, she would stop me and tell me that she'll do it because I don't know how to make it good enough. After a couple of times that she did that, I asked if she wants to make all the drinks and I would wash the dishes, and she agreed. I tried to wash the dishes and she stopped me a couple of times too, but eventually she let me do that. Then, after some time, more guests started coming, and before you knew it, the bar terrace was full. She wouldn't make all the drinks in time. We were the only 2 people that were allowed to make drinks there. But I stayed by the washing machine because that was my job there. She did not want to ask me for help because she was too proud, and I didn't want to ask her if she needed any because I was petty. One of the waiters came by and, while waiting for drinks, asked me why I am not helping, and I said that I'm there just to wash the dishes. I saw that she was mad at me because she couldn't say anything because she was the one that didn't want my help. I asked her again if she needed anything, and she told me I could make some drinks. So I did, and we managed to make everything in time together. After that, whenever I came to her bar, she let me do anything and never said anything about my work again. About a year later, we saw each other again, and she said that she hated me for that entire summer because of my pettiness, but she couldn't say anything because I was a great worker. The third story is called Don't Touch Them. This happened to my mother recently. For context, the neighbor and she have driveways that are side by side with a small patch of gravel and weeds between that is basically no man's land and it's just there. It's about 1.5 feet wide and runs the length of the driveway, and no one really takes care of it, leaving it as a border. My mom also has plenty of tomatoes growing in the backyard, including cherry tomatoes that are a favorite of crows and other birds. Now, this spot was a favorite for birds to drop the tomatoes or pick them apart, because there were no dogs there while they were in the backyard or main yards. Or at least that's how my mom tells it. Eventually, the seeds sprout, and there are small tomato plants starting to grow. Noticing them, my mom begins to water them regularly as she waters her front yard plants, as she has to walk by them with her hose anyways. This leads to cherry tomato plants sprouting and becoming incredibly fruitful between the driveways. After a while, they were disappearing, and my mom figured it was a combination of the birds and the wife of the neighbor couple because she was home all day. My mom didn't care because these were just chance tomatoes. She had plenty in the backyard garden, and it was just nice to have something more than dirt and gravel between the driveways. All was dandy, until my mom ran to grab a few to snack on while working in the front yard, and the woman next door confronted her. She told my mom those were not her tomatoes and she needed to leave them alone. The neighbor's woman continued that the patch of dirt and gravel was on her property, not my mother's. Though our water meter was in it, and ultimately it was likely a 50-50 split if you even cared to look, which when it was just nothing, no one cared to. So rather than argue with her, my mom said it was fine and she was leaving them alone. A few weeks later, they had started to dry up and die without the frequent watering from my mom, eventually ending in the dirt and the gravel patch becoming just dead again. The last story is called Stupid Time Policy. The job I'm currently working is not the best atmosphere, and a lot of people do not like it for various reasons. It is very obvious, like most places, that they do not care about you and treat you as a number. Well, about a month ago I got sick. Allergies and changing weather, which typically happens this time of year for me. I missed a day of work, and because it was not scheduled UTO or PTO, I had to take an occurrence, which basically is a point against me. If I get to 5, I will face disciplinary action all the way from a write-up to termination. This number resets on the anniversary of your starting. Well, I'm the only programmer, because the previous programmer quit. When I missed that day, I received an occurrence. The next day I came to work because my supervisor needed me to show a company that bought our old machine how I programmed it. I still did not feel 100%, but was no longer running a fever, so I obliged. Big mistake. By the end of my 12-hour shift, I felt really bad. I told my supervisor, and he said, "Well, take tomorrow off, but it will be another occurrence." This kind of set me off, because due to their rules, you can miss 3 days in a row, and it is only one occurrence. But if you miss Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and go to work Tuesday and Thursday, that is 3 separate occurrences, because you came back. So I said screw that, and came to work the next day feeling sick, but not getting another occurrence. I could have used UTO or PTO, but I had recently passed my 90 days, and therefore had maybe 4 hours of both, which would not cover my shift anyways. So fast forward to the present, as in a week ago, and I probably got a stomach bug. So the week that I got the stomach bug, we got a new machine to replace the one we sold to another company. Our representative came out to train the operators and showed us the new software. Unfortunately, that morning he came, I had my head in the toilet. So I called out, which now makes it my second occurrence. The next day, still not feeling the best, I did not go to work. Still only 1 occurrence. On the 3rd day, I really could have gone to work, but after 2 days of feeling like this, I really wanted to get rest and be well recovered. So I come back on the 4th day to find out that they had to pay this representative a good bit of money to keep him here until I came back so I could learn the new software. This made my boss, the plant manager, mad. He actually came to me and asked why I was sick for 3 days, and was it really 3 days of sickness? I told him the truth. I could have come back one day to get that training, but was afraid the next day I would have been sick again, which means I would get 2 occurrences. So instead, I took the safe route and gave my body 3 full days of recovery so I don't risk it. This obviously upset him, and now he and my supervisor are aware if I am out sick, it will always be 3 days, if I can afford it reasonably. He even tried to pull the, well, we are a family around here card, but that changed nothing in my eyes. The company I work for is owned by another company that owns 14 other companies like ours. They are the ones that control 99% of the rules. So by me doing this, the plant manager has no way of stopping me. Corporate would have to pass a new rule. Also, starting in January, I will receive enough UTO and PTO to cover a sick day here and there, as well as get a long weekend of paid vacation. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.